I had a suit.
No.
That was part of a suit. No,
That's
honestly, many years ago, I walked on the set with those. They were the John Daly brand.
collection.
They were the John Daly brand. And one day I wore that suit, and that was enough. One day was enough, and it was a joke, obviously.
Gained 52 pounds while you were in it?
No, but I started selling stuff out of the trunk of the car.
Okay.
That's the way it works. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Kyle Lowry disappears. LeBron wants Ty Lue, and the NFL will consider a new overtime rule. But we begin today with the Philadelphia 76ers going wire to wire over the Toronto Raptors last night. As predicted here by me on Fortune Teller yesterday, Joel Embiid had a big game after stinking the joint out in the first two games. Embiid showed off with 33 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 blocks. Wilbon, do you see this as one joyous game from Embiid or a shift in the series?
Tony, before I predict it shifts the series, I got to know about Embiid's health. Now, I was at a couple of games in Brooklyn where he was game time. And by game time, I mean warming up behind me with a microphone in my hand saying he didn't know whether he was going to go.
That's right.
And this last night, we got fairly close to that. So if you can tell me Joel Embiid is going to be in the lineup and his teammates are going to know it in advance, I'm going to tell you, yeah, this shifts the series. But I don't know about that for certain, and I'm sure that Toronto's going to have something up its sleeve in Game 4. I know you don't have much faith in them, but I don't want to call the series over just yet.
Look, it's not over. It's obviously not over. It's very easy for Toronto to win a game in Philadelphia and go back home, tied. But I had Toronto winning the series, and I'm not so sure now. And I think it's because I conveniently forgot. I wanted to forget.
How great Embiid can be?
No, how terrible Toronto used to be in the playoffs. Choking dogs in the playoffs. Kyle Lowry, they got rid of DeMar DeRozan and they brought in Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is a great player. And he's playing great right now.
He is.
But Kyle Lowry went 2 for 10.
Okay.
I mean, it's not sustainable if your only player is one guy is Kawhi Leonard.
Well, that's true, Tony. We're going to get to some more of that.
I mean, Toronto's been swept in playoffs.
They have been. But the question is Philly, and I told you, one of the reasons I liked Philly to win the Eastern Conference is their starting five. We can talk about we can talk about Embiid all we want, and he was great. By the way, the antics, where are you on that? The airplane spin, where are you on that?
It's fun to watch. I mean, I think he's a show-off.
He's a showman.
That's, okay. That's fine.
Jimmy Butler, do I get some credit? Year I say to you, Jimmy Butler's a great two-way player.
So let me say this about Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was poisonous in Minnesota.
Come on, he wasn't.
But he came to Philadelphia, and he knows how to massage Embiid. And he quietly is averaging 21, 7, and 6. He's the X factor right now on that team. I didn't like what Simmons did. I thought Simmons deliberately elbowed Lowry. I thought it was deliberate. Maybe I'm wrong.
On the ground, and the guy's behind him. Can you see?
But
where his jewels are? Where he's throwing the elbow?
I think this is a shift in the series. I'm afraid it is. I think so. I'm afraid.
The Raptors, between now and Game 4, are left to find answers and do so quickly, especially since the clock is ticking on this season and perhaps on Kawhi Leonard's career in Toronto. The Raptors are operating at about 1/2 the offensive efficiency when Leonard is off the floor in this series, leading Kyle Lowry, the aforementioned, to say, quote, "We got to help him. He's doing everything he possibly can do offensively and defensively to win games. And myself, I'm not helping him enough," close quote. Tony, is this lack of help likely to lead Kawhi Leonard right out of the North?
So as I said the other day on this show, he is an unknowable person. He played 7 years for Greg Popovich, and on the way out, Popovich said, I have no idea what makes him tick. So I'm not going to predict what he's going to do. If I were Kawhi Leonard and I were averaging 33 points on 61% shooting and playing both ways, and I looked around at a team that seems to have a history of folding up when all the pressure is on, I would say, well, what am I doing here? Why do I want to stay here?
You change it. One player in the NBA, if he's great enough, can change the culture of a team.
That's true.
It's not baseball or football.
Are you seeing that happen?
Well, we got to see the series play out. Right. If all they do now is get just sort of directed out of the series 4-1, it looks like old Toronto.
Yeah.
But Kawhi Leonard ought to be good enough. And by the way, if he's not vocal enough to lead and push and cajole, threaten his teammates as the truly great players are.
Is that his style?
You know what? Larry Bird came into the league a fairly quiet guy. He got with it, right?
Right.
Okay, Michael Jordan wasn't quiet, but all those guys did magic.
This is his eighth year. You would see this by now.
Okay.
You would see this.
You know what, Tony?
Don't you think he's a top 5 player?
Between 5 and 10. But between 5, I think he's dropped a little bit.
Okay.
But
Tony, he's averaging 61% shooting and 33 points.
Yeah, but
he's up in the playoffs.
He has to play for others. This is what the great players do. LeBron has done that for years. LeBron had nobody on his team some years you wanted healthy, and he would get to the finals.
Haven't we always made the assumption that he was a one-year rental in Toronto and he was going to go to Southern California?
Well, but you go to Toronto when you fall in love with Toronto. What's wrong with that?
Well, if he's fallen in love, then he'll stay. But it's just teammates. Kyle Lowry's right. His teammates are letting him down.
He is right about that.
In coaching news, the Phoenix Suns have hired Monty Williams for the next 5 years. Good luck with that and that owner, Monty. More intriguing are the reports that the Lakers will now hire Tyronn Lue, making it quite clear that LeBron James is running that team. Multiple reports are somehow claiming that Lue was the Lakers' first choice all along, and it is just coincidence that they will offer him the job as soon as Monty Williams landed in Phoenix. Wilbon, does this feel like another loss for the Lakers?
No. How many days did we discuss the story, and how many days did I conclude by telling you with great certainty that Ty Lue was going to be the coach of the Lakers?
Well, what was that story about Monty Williams and both teams?
I told you Monty Williams was better off going to the Suns, where they have a lot of terrific young players, starting with Booker and Ayton, and they can do something there. Yes, the owner has been problematic, but he ain't the only problematic owner in the NBA.
They're 2 years away from being 3 years away, and that gives Monty Williams 5 years.
That's your take. That's not mine.
That is mine.
As somebody who's not actually watched the Phoenix Suns
I don't have a house.
Paul Westphal was on the team. Maybe you saw
Neil
Nash
Walk.
once or twice.
I saw Neil Walk. I remember him.
The Van Arsdales.
Yeah, they were good. Tom and Dick. Yeah.
Okay, so I know the Phoenix Suns have a roster. Their cupboard is not only not bare, it's close to full.
What does this tell you about the Lakers? Doesn't it?
They're getting the guy they want.
Can we at least agree on the fact that LeBron James has completely taken over the team at this point?
No.
Because I think the franchise looks like a clown show this year.
No.
Magic quit.
Okay.
Rob Pelinka is accused of being backstabbing.
That's fine.
LeBron doesn't make the playoffs, which is impossible.
Then it wouldn't be good what he's done if he took over the whole franchise. Tony, T. Lue, despite what you hear, is maybe the only guy, no, because in Miami his coach would have had pushback there too. But they're the two guys who've said to LeBron no and gotten into back and forth and attempted to change his mind and sometimes done it. T. Lue has done that. I know that.
And it was so stressful for him that how did he feel when he was doing it? Did he have a good time? No, he didn't have a good time.
It was difficult, but he's willing to sign up for it again.
Okay, here's my...
Would you hire T. Lue if you were Jeannie Buss?
I would because I want LeBron to be happy. The best quote in the NBA this year is this quote. And it is from Kevin Durant. I'm Kevin Durant. You all know who I am.
Yeah.
You get LeBron James, you all know who he is. You know what he wants, and you have to accommodate it.
It's the right move. Getting T. Lue. It's the right move. If Kyrie Irving looks kinder and gentler, it's probably because he is. Terry Rozier tells Jackie McMullen that Kyrie's positive outlook lately has made a huge difference. Rozier said, quote, "The energy is great now. We're together, not like before," close quote. Tony, you're a fan of creative tension.
Yes, I am.
Do you think the Celtics benefit that much from a more collaborative Kyrie? And if so, do you think he can keep this up the entire postseason?
The entire postseason, whatever.
Now till June.
The entire postseason.
Yeah.
So that must be a trick question. Because let's look at Kyrie for a second. Kyrie Irving was on a team that won a championship and got angry and left because he said it wasn't his team. Kyrie Irving went to the new team and said, "Sign me up for the rest of my life." And then in about an hour, he said, "I don't owe you people anything. I can leave anytime I want." Kyrie Irving has as changeable as the phases of the moon. So I would not put any stock in this. I'd put stock in his ability as a player. But in terms of his temperament, no, I would not put stock in it.
That's directly tied to his ability as a player. I believe absolutely Kyrie understands that the only way to win, and his own teammate says this, a guy who has to sometimes play with him, but also behind him. He gets that now. He may not have gotten it then, but he sees the results so far in the playoffs. They've got a tough series still ahead of them with Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And Kyrie has to be this way, Tony. Otherwise, they don't get the maximum out of his physical, his athletic abilities and gifts. He'll do it. I believe Kyrie will do that.
A Kyrie quote to Jackie McMullen.
Yeah.
Direct quote. "I've been playing basketball a lot longer than some of these people analyzing the game. I'm an actual genius when it comes to this game."
Okay.
So he knows more than you be and Charles and and Reggie Miller, and he's an actual genius.
Chris Webber, no.
Okay.
Look, I don't care about boastfulness. I don't care about his swag.
Put your money on him.
He has to be in this way for them to win, according to his teammates.
Jerry Jones' son, Steven, he's the one who cleans the glasses, isn't he? Told Pro Football Talk that the competition committee will revisit a proposal from the Kansas City Chiefs to ensure that both teams get at least one possession in overtime in playoff games only. Now, you will remember that the Patriots took the ball and went right down the field in overtime in the AFC Championship game, and Kansas City was done. Wilbon, are you all right with rules that are different in the regular season and the playoffs?
Yes. And by the way, Steven isn't the one who cleans the glasses.
Who cleans the glasses?
I think it's a son-in-law.
That's a good job.
Certainly, if you're an in-law, you gotta clean some stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the first 70 years of pro football were conducted with one set of rules for regulation and one set for the playoffs. I mean, regular season and playoffs, because the regular season allowed for ties and the postseason did not. So you've already seen that. So now we haven't had that for the past, 30 maybe. Is it 30 probably? Late 80s, maybe early 90s. So fine, it's going back to what pro football used to be. I don't have a problem with the current rule. None whatsoever. If you give up a touchdown, sorry, get out.
Yeah.
So play some defense.
Stop somebody.
This league does not want to actually allow people to play defense, much less force them to play defense.
So I think if you like a rule, it ought to be in both. I understand in the NHL, but that's a function of time. Like in the NHL, they have shootouts in the regular season. They cannot have those in the playoffs. It's insufficient. I mean, they want people to actually score. My sense of this is, and it's similar to yours, stop somebody on defense. But I understand. You can convince me that teams that get that far in the playoffs, that are good teams, they have earned the right to get the ball once. They've earned the right.
Well, the defense in Kansas City, they didn't earn the right to do anything.
It becomes sudden death at that point.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more exciting. Maybe it is. Let's take a break. Coming up, does James Harden need to score 40 for the Rockets to beat the Warriors? And can he in the playoffs?
And what's the matter with Jason Tatum? Dude has not been the great player we thought he was.
I think they're trying to make the football thing equitable. And I don't think you and I think they
care about
have
equity.
To. No.
Put the best product
Pardon
out.
the Interruption is presented by Hornitos Tequila, a shot worth taking. Part of Happy Hour, and in part by Verizon, America's most reliable network.
I'm Kevin Nagani, and tonight on SportsCenter at 6 Eastern, the questions surrounding Kyrie Irving heading...
A PTI investigation has revealed that there are 2 NBA playoff games tonight and another tomorrow. And to help us sort through them, we welcome in our friend from NBA Countdown, Jalen Rose. Let's start with this. The Warriors and the Rockets, that's the big deal. Everybody wants to see that. That is tomorrow. You said the other day, because I saw you say it, that James Harden has to score 40 going forward. But given his history, can he score 40 in the playoffs?
That's what it's going to take when you go against a dynastic team like the Golden State Warriors. And by the way, he averaged 36. So if he's an MVP caliber player, I should be able to get his average come playoff time. And he has not been able to produce that. But playing back at home, and this always happens, you guys know this, the role players are going to look a lot better. CP3 is going to play a lot better. And all of a sudden, Capella's going to be getting lobs and getting rebounds. Eric Gordon's going to be making shots. Austin Rivers is going to be playing well. Tucker's going to be playing well. In Game 3, the Rockets are going to look a lot different. But to make it a long series, I stand by what I said, Tony. James Harden needs to average 40 or they're done in 5.
It's a lot of points, man.
But he's
a lot of points in the
playoffs.
playoffs.
MVP. I mean, seriously, he's got to get it up there.
MVP is for what season? It's the regular season.
Yeah, it's true.
Regular season.
Let's talk about one of the guys you just mentioned, Jalen, Chris Paul. And I've been wondering as I watch these games, he seems to be getting to those spots. And you know his spots. He has favorite spots on the floor. He says he can shoot the ball successfully with his eyes closed in those spots. But now he's either getting to them and not shooting or not getting to them. What are you seeing from him?
Mike, his usage is down. I was one of the people like last year that felt like if CP3 was healthy, that Houston would have beat the Warriors. Now, not to mention the fact that the Warriors were without Andre Iguodala, who's been playing very well, and he helps lock up the Hamptons 5. But for Chris Paul, it seems like they don't feature him in the high pick and roll as much as they did last year. On the wing, he used to go more isolation. He used to look to be a guy to score a lot, and he had the ball in his hands a lot more. Since the Golden State Warriors do such a terrific job of switching on the perimeter, it's James Harden not only isoing like the regular season, but it's compounded because they're not playing a gimmick defense like Utah was, all on his hip, playing behind him. They're playing straight up. They're forcing him to shoot over a contest, and that's forced CP3 not to be as aggressive.
Let me just ask one follow-up question on that. Are we seeing somebody get old in front of our eyes? Because at some point, you don't have the speed that you used to. Is that possible here?
I think so. And Wilbon mentioned it. He has to pick and choose his spots at this point of his career. Chris Paul went from being an all-NBA caliber player, then not being an all-star level player, and last year getting injured in the playoffs, which we've seen, unfortunately for him, a few times not being available for the team that he was playing on come postseason time. His style of play is almost like a fire hydrant. He's really physical. He loves to mix it up. But as you start to get older, it does take a toll on your body.
Now, let me switch.
Jalen, what is going on with Jason Tatum?
He's been invisible, Wilbon, and I know a lot of people want to put this on Kyrie Irving because he's really ball dominant, but both of those guys were invisible in the previous game. I don't think there's been a game since Kyrie's been there that he, Gordon Hayward, and Tatum were all in single digits. That happened in the previous game for a guy like Tatum, who led the Celtics last year to the conference finals without Kyrie. He has to continue to attack. He can't settle for jump shots. He has to be a guy that initiates early offense, play a lot faster. And I think he's going to do that in front of his home fans.
So we'll get you out of here on this. The Nuggets and the Blazers are late tonight. Wilbon gets mad at me when I say that's the series in the land that time forgot. But let's go to the end of the series. Which of these teams, because assuming you still like Golden State to be in the finals, which of these teams has the better chance against Golden State?
I hate to pick against Damian Lillard because he's been terrific this year, but I think as the playoffs progress, missing Nurkic and then the injury to Kanter's shoulder is going to affect them in long series. So I'm going to have to say the Denver Nuggets. You have a guy like Jokic, which initiates offense from the center spot, can make the three. We know he can dribble, pass, and shoot. They still have to get that consistent second player. Murray's dealing with an injury. Gary Harris, can he provide some big-time minutes? But I think the depth of the Denver Nuggets, since they had injuries throughout this year with Beasley and Craig and Morris and Barton, I think that ultimately wins out, and you get to see the Golden State Warriors against the Denver Nuggets in the conference finals.
That's good. Well, you guys can compare notes tomorrow morning on that game. I'm going to be
He'll be long asleep, Jalen, as you know.
Thank you, Jalen.
Thank you.
Thanks,
man.
a lot.
Appreciate
the love.
All right. Let's take one last break, but still to come, Daniel Jones, your boy, makes his long-awaited debut at Giants minicamp.
How about that? And are the Bulls smart to extend the contract of Jim Boyle?
I switched to Liberty Mutual because they let me customize my insurance. And as a fitness junkie, I customize everything, like my bike and my calves.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Here's the rules.
Taking part of Happy Hour and in part by Toyota. Let's go places.
Happy time, people. Happy 22nd birthday, Dwayne Haskins. After a spectacular year at Ohio State with 50 touchdowns and only 8 interceptions, Haskins entered the NFL draft and was picked in the first round by his local Washington Redskins. Haskins wanted to continue wearing number 7, so he called Joe Theismann, the last Redskin quarterback to wear 7 and a Super Bowl winner. And after some amicable conversation, Theismann said, "It's yours." Wilbon, you think Haskins will start this year?
Yeah, by like week 8 or so. He just seems to be the right person for this job, Tony. He gets it. He gets what the Redskins have been, even if they haven't been monsters lately. He grew up here. He understands it.
Happy anniversary, Danny Ainge. On this day 9 years ago, you were caught on camera throwing a towel in the air to try and distract Cleveland's J.J. Hickson during free throws. This is our jocular way of getting into the most recent news, which is that Ainge suffered what was described as a mild heart attack earlier this week. Ainge is back in Boston, and doctors say they expect a full recovery.
I hope Danny is okay, seriously. I mean, this is the second one he's had. This is a fraternity that we don't like welcoming in new members. Sure. We're talking that Danny, after the first one, I hope this is the last one.
Happy trails, Derek Lilliquist. The Nationals pitching coach fired last night after a 2-1 win over the Cardinals. The Nats have had a terrible bullpen all season. Oddly, though, the bullpen has allowed no earned runs in its last 18-plus innings. But Lilliquist's head rolled anyway. This is being interpreted as a shot across the bow to Davey Martinez, the manager, who's off to a sub-500 start. but general manager Mike Rizzo says he has Martinez's back. I watch every game. I wonder why they don't fire the hitting coach.
The only mention of the Cardinals I want to hear is they just went down in Chicago, tightening the race in the Central Division.
One update, Ben Simmons was assessed a flagrant one and fined $20 grand for that elbow to Kyle Lowry's man zone.
You had that.
Quickly to the big finish.
Yep.
Bulls give Jim Boylan a multi-year contract extension. Deserved.
Tony, he's not going to be the guy, is he, if the Bulls get to be good, if they win the lottery going forward? I don't know. Giants quarterback Daniel Jones made his debut at minicamp today. Break that down, Mr. New York.
Well, I didn't see it, but I know that the draft nerds hate him. They hate him. They just hate him. That's the way it is. The Bears are bringing 8 kickers to rookie minicamp. That's a good sign.
It's rookie camp. You got to bring a bunch, right? Maybe one of them stays. I don't know. 14-year-old Chinese golfer Yang Kwang made the cut at the European Tour. Big deal?
He's 14, Mike.
Yeah.
That's a real tour. Real people win on that tour. The Molinars used to win. Come on, he's 14 years old.
That's
Last one, Chris Sale goes for his first win tonight in Chicago against the White Sox. You like his chances?
Probably threw a no-hitter. I don't worry about the South Side, North Side. Cubs, Hendricks, 81 pitch, 4-hitter, I think, to beat the Cardinals. Season's on, big boy.
We're out of time. We will try and do better the next time, and I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon.